Hi, my name is Isadore Duckett. On this week's episode of Matters of the Heart podcast, we will talk about something that is dear to my heart and that is dear to the community, is the area of substance abuse. For me, this topic is not just close and dear to my heart, it is something that affects our communities on a daily basis. And if I see the destruction, if I see what's happening, it compels you in such a way that you have to do something about it. And when I look at what's happening around us and just everything that is negative, if you look at the news, I don't even want to go in there, and everything around you is just, it's doom and it's gloom. You almost sometimes gets pulled into what's happening. But amidst the doom and the gloom, I feel that there is stories of hope and stories that we need to hear. Stories that we might not see as important to yourself, but stories that can change someone's life. And what I would like to unpack on this program is those nuggets that came through the rough, that came through the difficult times, but is in a position now to just tell their story, because stories can change lives. And I've decided that, let's make an impact in our communities where we find ourselves with those stories. And today I have brought someone to the program, and that I have been privileged to see over the last couple of years just grow from somebody that I thought will never get to this point, but his perseverance and his endurance have really stood out for me. And today my guest is none other than Mr. Matthew Janari, that I have seen develop over these years. And Matthew, thank you for taking time out and really just gracing us with your presence today, and just coming to talk about a topic that I believe is also close and dear to your heart, and it's the topic of substance abuse. But before we get into the topic, I would like you maybe just to introduce yourself so that the listeners can also just know who and where you come from.
Yeah, okay. So thanks so much, brother Isadore. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
So my name is Matthew Janari. I'm married. I live from Heathfield. I'm out in Heathfield, and
Yes.
I'm the middle of two other brothers. So I have two brothers, and I'm also married to someone from the area. So
Okay.
I'm married now 4 years, and I'm 11 years. I'm going to be 11 years this year.
Yeah.
Clean of drugs and substance abuse.
Wow. Well, before we get really into the topic, I just wanted to, and you can probably hear that this man is happily married, because he mentioned a couple of times that he's married. So well done to that. But obviously there's a story before you got to the point of marriage. So yeah, you didn't tell us where you were born or grew up, the area that you grew up in.
Okay, so I've always been in Heathfield.
In the Heathfield area?
When I was born, my parents stayed in Mitchell's Plain, and then we moved back to the family home in Heathfield, where my parents bought the house and
Okay.
stayed with our grandparents.
Okay, fantastic. So growing up, I mean, how was it for you growing up with your two other siblings? You said,
Yeah.
how was things in your area at home, and also just growing up in the area?
Okay. So look, we came from a very conservative family, quiet family, and we were involved in sports. My brothers and myself were involved in sports. We were involved in church, and parents never indulged in any substance or drinking or anything like that. So obviously we had family that done those things, but there wasn't anything in the house.
Okay.
My grandfather used to drink,
Yeah.
but there wasn't anything serious. He was still providing for the family and still a positive
Yeah.
role model to the rest of the family. So, growing up in a quiet area, moving from Mitchell's Plain,
Yeah.
and thinking now that you're moving from an area like gangsters and of all those violence, and you come into a better area,
Yes.
was it
Things will be better.
things will be better, having a better education, having a better opportunity.
Yeah.
But, you find yourself being in a quiet area with a lot of
Absolutely.
things happening that people don't know of and people's not exposed
Well,
to.
I suppose no matter where you go, when you look at it, you're always going to find people, and wherever you find people, there's challenges. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. You grew up in a quiet area. You moved from an area, Mitchell's Plain, where I currently reside, and you think that you're going to have a better life and things is going to be better. Where did things, like they would say, where did things go a bit south for Matthew?
Okay, so having an older brother, I've seen my brother experiment with things, and
Yeah.
he started smoking dacha at the time, and then some dacha started moving on to stronger things.
Yeah.
We started smoking man drugs,
Yes.
and he went into recovery. And because I was looking at my brother
Yeah.
and having him as a role model, I used to walk with him and I used to be exposed to these things in the neighboring areas.
Yeah.
So the people that used to sell these things knew me, and the people that used to operate in the area knew me. So for my friends, when they started experimenting
Yeah.
and wanting to experiment, that was easy for me to access or to get access to those opportunities for them.
I hear you. So again, from what I can see, and I mean we'll unpack just based on research, how do we end up doing that? You see that there's obviously a lack of mentorship.
Yeah.
You could say that, and you would then follow in the footsteps of your brother or your other siblings, and where was your, if I could ask, where was your biological father in your life at that point?
So my dad was there. My dad had a disability.
Yeah.
So he was always working, and he was both of my parents were working.
Yeah.
And I think living in a quiet area and staying with your grandparents.
Yeah.
Your grandparents see things, but they cover up things for you as well.
I hear you.
So it might be serious, but for them it's not as serious because they think they're helping you. So my parents were in the house, they were staying with us, but they were always at work.
So I'm just trying to just get into the story where things went south, and there's always role players, whether it is your siblings or your parents. Sometimes we think that our parents are there, and because they're not actively involved in our lives,
Yep.
things can also go wrong, because who's got the greatest influence on our lives is the people that we spend most of our time with. Who do we spend most of our time with in those years? Would be our friends. So in terms of just the influence from outside, and in your case, your siblings and your older brother, it was detrimental to the point where you now started experimenting. And from what sort of age did you start experimenting
So I think
with
it
the
was,
substance?
yes, I think it was when I used to take my friends or be exposed to those things. I wasn't into it
Yeah.
because I always saw what it done to my brother and to the household,
Yeah.
and I said I don't want to go down the same road and I don't want to experience it.
Yeah.
I think I was about 15 when my dad had a heart attack,
Yeah.
and I nearly I saw him nearly die
Wow.
behind the wheel.
Wow.
We rushed him to Victoria Hospital.
Yeah.
The people came
Yeah.
like rushing out because his heart stopped,
Wow.
and then I saw them shock my dad, trying to get him. And at that time, I questioned a lot of things,
Yeah.
and I was with my friends, and I think with the peer pressure and just questioning my beliefs
Yeah.
and my faith in God, I thought, there can't be a higher being, or there can't be a God, because He's allowing these things to happen to
How is this being allowed?
my father. And I found myself in a space where I was angry,
Yeah.
and I thought, I'm just gonna do this. I was in a room with friends, and they were like, you were this, you were girl, you
Yeah.
were sissy, and I thought, like, all models and everything that I was taught, I just put it one side, and I tried my first time with crystal meth,
Yeah.
and it became a weekend thing,
Yeah.
and then it became more during the week. And I was in high school. I was at a good high school,
Yeah.
and I got exposed to this.
Yeah.
It was totally different to anything else my brother did, because at that time he was in recovery.
Yeah.
It was new. Nobody knew about it, and that's where I got my first.
I just want to jump in there because I just caught that you were saying that your brother at that point, when you went through what you're going through and the experimenting part of your life, he was in recovery.
Yeah.
So you already, I mean, you could now see this issue is getting bigger now because the one is leading into the other one. The next thing also that I just want you to, as we getting to really just where things went downhill, where you said I couldn't stay without, it had to be on a Saturday, it had to be on a Sunday, and then you moved into using it every day.
Yeah. So from moving from school, I was at high school.
Yeah.
I convinced my parents, no, I'm gonna go to college. And then I went to college, got involved with college guys, older guys. It was more convenient to get these drugs.
Yeah.
And I could bunk class. There
Yeah.
wasn't anyone lecturer gonna phone my parents to say I'm not in class.
Yeah.
So I would bunk, tell my parents I'm going to college, where I was long time kicked out of college. But because I worked and I believe that comparing myself to my brother and him relying on my parents, I thought I'm better, because I could survive, and I was giving what I had to give to the house and to my parents, but I'm also able to maintain what I'm doing.
Your habit.
I could cover up.
So there was obviously, I almost say there was demand and supply, because there was money available. You could take care of the house and also take care of the habits. I just quickly want to, while we're talking about just tying into the studying and whatever, and I just did a sort of research on the latest report when it comes to, and you said that your drug of choice was crystal meth.
Yeah.
And obviously we know that the street term for that is stick.
Yeah.
And they're just going through this report, the latest phase 50 report of 2022, compiled by the South African Community Epidemiology, a network on drug use, reveals that in the Western Cape, the primary substances of use reported by 36 specialist treatment centers, the number one is tick.
Yeah.
At 35%, and then obviously followed by cannabis, 24%, alcohol, 18%, and heroin. So, which together comprises 84% of all admissions. So, when you look at it, I'm just talking now, it's the latest one, but how it's been on the increase. And so you've been, it became obviously it became an addiction.
Yeah.
And where did you then land up from there? Just sort of fast forward for the sake of time. Okay. I'm sure people can listen to it on the podcast and download the app. It's free. So, but just fast forwarding to where you landed up.
Okay, so from fast forwarding from high school, work, studies, and career.
Yeah.
Nearly 10.5 years into using drugs.
Sure.
I found myself at a point where I just had enough.
Yeah.
Like I was tired of being tired. I could see myself going either to prison, institution, or finding myself in being like buried, because I used to weigh 40 on 5, less than 45 was my highest, my heaviest that I used to weigh. Yeah. So I was like walking.
Well, I saw the before and I've seen the process, but I mean,
yeah.
Sure, 45.
So, yeah, I was fairly light. I was really light.
Wow.
And then I found myself going to our previous pastor.
Yeah.
Speaking to him, and he told me about a recovery home.
Yeah.
And he said, you need to go there for a total period of 6 months, and you need to do outpatient. Done outpatient, a 2-week outpatient for a month, because I was still 1 foot in, 1 foot out of wanting to get help. Went into recovery to Hope Again recovery home in
And
2012.
where's Hope Again Recovery Home?
So
For the listeners that don't know.
So Hope Again Recovery Home is in Woodlands. It's the
Yeah.
corner of Ix and Artemis Road. It's next to Woodlands. It's next to the primary school, Highlands Primary School. And that's a church, and they use the facility as a recovery home as well, where the guys stay.
So
stay
the
there.
recovery home is out in the
Mitchell's
Mitchell's Plain area,
Yeah,
and you've done your 6 months.
around 9 months.
Okay, that's quite interesting. How did it end up you doing 9 months? Was there any changes in that 6 months? Just a quick.
So 2 months into my program,
Yeah.
we used to get like discipline when you used to do scriptures.
Okay, I thought now you guys getting a.
No, we used to get discipline, and 2 months into my program, I rebelled and I decided to leave the program.
Yeah.
I left the program prematurely on the Friday, and I realized that I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I contacted them the Monday, and I'm one of the few people that they took back.
Yeah.
Because when you leave the program, they tell you take a longer period to make up your mind before coming back.
Making a proper decision,
A
because
proper decision.
at the end of the day it is for you.
Yes.
And so you've prolonged obviously that
Yeah. And
6 months.
the reason why I was here 9 months was because they wanted me to be there, and because I had at that time it was my brother at home on
Yeah.
drugs. Both of my brothers and his girlfriend still
Sure.
using drugs, and they were just afraid. And
Yeah.
I told them, look, you've given me the tools, and I need to apply these tools.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided, after 9 months I came back,
Yeah.
and that was 2013.
Wow. And what made you then say to yourself, listen, I need change. I've tried different things. I can't go back to, like you said, my environment, because we're struggling. We can't have 3 people struggling with the same thing. That
Yeah.
thing will now it will be exemplified. How did you after that period decide that, you know what, I need change?
So look, like I said, I was finding I was finding myself at the space where it was either death,
Yeah.
institution, or jail. And I think when I was done with the recovery home, going into the recovery home,
Yeah.
and having a good support structure, coming back and just following the basic steps of getting involved and doing meetings and
Yeah.
and doing all those things you're supposed to do, but also just to be real with yourself, that
Absolutely.
before I used drugs and before
Yeah.
I started with drugs, I was Matthew.
Yes.
And, and I had to find Matthew again and
Wow.
and really just work on Matthew to be a better person. So I think that was my drive to continue to stay focused and to work on my goals and
I like that. I like that. And you know what? The thing that we sometimes get sidetracked with is that when we say and people say, but it shouldn't just be about you, but it should be about you first, because like you said, when you decided that me, Matthew, I want to get back to,
yeah.
only then change can happen. So you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
So how do you look after others if you don't look after yourself? I always say, you won't let your battery get to red. So why do you allow that to happen to yourself? What would you say in terms of just now that you've worked through that period where you've been there for 9 months? What was the next goal? What was the next sort of assignment that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so there were small things,
Yeah.
getting mobile,
Yeah.
because you lose everything in that time.
Yeah.
Getting a job, finding an income again,
Yeah.
trying to just build myself up and complete study goals, and to find the perfect one
Wow.
to spend your life with.
And you know what, Matthew, when I look at it, I look at obviously understanding and working in the community, and also being privileged to be part of that program for the last 17 years. I've seen the befores and I've seen the afters. I've seen a whole lot of Matthews, and I've seen a whole lot of other names coming through there. And when I look at it, each one's got a story.
Yeah.
Your story was how you grew up, where you ended up, the surrounds. But the story now, I'm sure there's a different story now. So you started out and you were very excited. So you moved through the 6 months. In fact, like you said, it was extended 9 months. Discipline scripture. So there's certain scriptures I take it you know by heart. What's currently happening now?
So currently happening now, look, I'm working. I'm working for a asset management company.
Wow.
And we're doing facilities management. And
Yes.
you know, I got people that's working with me and that reports to me now.
Yeah.
And I find myself also. I joined a like running club where
Wow.
I started last year watching a friend do 2 oceans,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing him complete it and seeing him just come past me and be walking this journey with me for the past 7-8 years.
Wow.
And it just made me also realize, you know, I want to do something better.
May I ask, while we've got you, not to promote the club, for which club are you running?
So I'm currently running for Celtic areas,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm going to be doing my first 2 oceans the 16th of April.
Wow.
First.
Wow. So listen, I'm not gonna go into the running. I'm an avid runner myself, but I said this year will also just be a focus on 21s, and Matthew, I must be honest. Like I said, I saw the progress and how you came. For you now to do half marathons, or we spoke about the running. What did you do? You did bay to bay?
Around bay to bay 30, and I'm planning to do my first Cape Town this year, Cape Town marathon. And you know that even the running,
Yeah.
like after I came out of recovery, I had a spontaneous lung collapse.
Wow.
So you know, I was done with drugs, and I had the spontaneous lung collapse, and the doctor said, "You must take it easy. You mustn't do anything."
Yeah.
And even this running is just for me, just getting back my life and just putting myself out there just to build on myself and
Yeah.
my health.
Wow. Listen, that's encouraging. I must be honest with you that I know you. I've seen the progress, and I've got this this personal motto of mine that says trust the process.
Yeah.
And so I'm really inspired, and I know that there's someone that needs to hear that if things can turn around for Matthew to the point where Matthew said, if I don't do it for myself, nobody else is going to do it for me. I'm sure there is another young man, there's another person that looks at it and say, you know what, I can do it.
Yeah.
I'll take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. And for you to get to this point now where you're not only running, but you're a married man.
Yeah.
Hey,
Family soon.
hey,
I know
is things happening?
things. Yeah.
No, well,
Those-
congratulations. You need to, obviously, if there's any questions in terms of the formula. Remember, I've got 4.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 boys, 2 girls. So you need to just check with me which which pair
one?
do you want.
Okay. You know.
So Matthew, you know what? I want to say thank you for putting the time aside, really just to come and share, because like I said, there's power in sharing knowledge, but there's also power in sharing your experiences, but more so even just sharing your life story. And I know that you have impacted a lot of listeners, and I'm sure they'll get in contact and just ask questions, and we've got your details. We know where you stay, but we appreciate for you, and what we hope for is that you will now don't just stay where you find yourself, but that you will continue to impact, because there's more Matthews that you need to pull.
Yes.
There's more Isadores that you need to pull. I'll get an opportunity one day to share my story, similar, but you know what? that's really what it's about, is to go and impact. So from my side, thank you for availing yourself, and I hope that you go from strength to strength. So that's me, Isadore Duckett, from Matters of the Heart. We were privileged to hear Matthew's story, and we know that it changed and touched people's lives. And what we want for you is to please, if you didn't get the full story, download the Heart FM app, and it will be there as a podcast, and you can stay connected. Till next time, cheers.